Um, I'm gonna say something that's gonna probably make you mad.
Oh no.
John is really pretty
Oh
in
my
this.
God. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the
He's
hottest person I've ever seen in my life.
so pretty.
Have you ever seen him on The Good Wife?
No.
He's the hottest person I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, every time I see him, this man ages like fine wine, but better because I don't love wine. Like a nice stout whiskey. He's so hot. That doesn't make me mad at all. It is so true.
Okay.
They needed
He's
to,
so pretty, and the lighting that they
yes.
use,
They
like
had to cast someone that's
oh,
believable to have like
to
birthed
be
Sam and Dean
the dad
Winchester.
of these two extremely pretty
Yeah, they
boys.
had to
Yeah.
cast the hottest man alive. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
totally
So,
down with that.
oh, see my mullet,
I see it.
and this part's all short over my ears.
I love it.
And I bought like fake cartilage rings for my ears
Nice.
because now I'm like, let me try this look out and see if I like it, and then maybe I'll just do it.
You should. I'm working on mine, so you should definitely go for it.
I definitely want to. I don't know why I haven't had my ears multiply pierced before. Like tattoos, I get that's like going into new territory, but piercing is so fast.
Yeah, you could
And I
do.
already have pierced lobes, so
It's really not a big deal.
yeah, I don't know why I haven't done it. I just haven't thought of it, I guess.
Yeah.
But
In between my tattoos, I've been like, this is more affordable than it's fast there,
yes,
and I can just walk in.
yes,
So
yeah, yeah.
it's a little addicting too, but I have like my ring light on because it's so dark because of the
Oh my God,
storms
right. Has
that
it
I like
passed?
it's still cloudy outside. It's not raining anymore. So I'm thinking we're good for now. It's supposed to rain again later,
Oh
like
gosh.
during Christie's episode. So I'm
Oh
recording
great.
we're recording two pod episodes today. I'm talking about four different episodes of Supernatural today. And we're just hoping that the Wi-Fi and the electricity stays on because Dallas is being pummeled this whole week by weird
Yeah.
weather.
Oh gosh.
That's okay though. We're gonna make it through. This is May, by the way. We're recording way before we're actually releasing. This is the fifth episode. This probably won't even come out till August.
Oh gosh.
No, it'll
Oh
be
gosh.
mid-July. It'll be mid-July because we're gonna post the first episode at the
On
end of
my
June.
birthday.
Yeah, on Elle's birthday, June 20th.
Woo! Hi.
So we're talking about things that have long since passed. Like it's like 2 months ago this happened for whoever's
Yeah,
listening.
don't look outside. It's not dark out
It's
right now.
probably not. What if
Probably
when this
fine.
is posted, it is again?
Ooh, that would be almost
Ooh, supernatural.
supernatural. Cut that part. Cut that.
Nope,
That's ridiculous.
that's going in the trailer. Okay.
No. Oh no, my legacy.
So today we are covering episode 8 and 9, which is bugs and home. So let me start off by summarizing bugs. Bugs is essentially a cursed, like Indian burial ground kind of story. There's a construction worker who is killed by insects who like burrow into his brain. They think it's mad cow disease. I'm like, whoever performed that autopsy did a bad job because, like, obviously they would have just seen that there were bugs, but whatever. And so Sam and
I
Dean,
guess the
like,
bugs left. I don't
I
know.
guess they still would have been able to see that, like, bugs crawled into his head, whatever. So then Sam and Dean have to investigate it. They, like, Sam specifically kind of bonds with the kid who lives in the realtor's like house. Like his dad's a realtor and he's a real dick. And Sam like really relates to this kid. And through that, we see like Sam and Dean kind of have epiphanies about their childhood throughout the episode. And then after they realize that the whole like settlement was built on a sacred Indian like land, they interview this man who like explains it. They're like, damn. So they end the haunt essentially by the guys like, I'm gonna make sure no one ever settles here, and they like it's over. So this is a this is an episode that I would say is like universally accepted as not good by the
It gets a
cast and
lot of hate.
crew.
Hmm.
Yeah, like I know the creators really hate it because they didn't have the the money that they needed, the budget they needed to make it look like they wanted it to. Um, I
I mean,
have never disliked it. I've always enjoyed it. Like it's a CW show, and at this time, I think it was on the WB. Like it was that long ago.
oh, maybe so,
It
yeah.
was a long time ago. So 2005, I don't know if the CW had crossed over yet. It might have, but either way, we're like episode 8 on a brand new show. It's okay that the graphics aren't perfect. So I don't know. They did, a lot of people hated it, and I guess because at cons they've talked about it, a lot of the fandom is like, yeah, Bugs isn't very good, but I disagree. I think it's
I
pretty
didn't hate
good.
it
Yeah.
when I first watched it, and then when I got into fandom, I learned that it is like universally reviled, and I was like, okay, I guess it is. The graphics weren't great. It's got, like mystical Native Americans in it, and
Yeah.
so maybe it's not great. But then I
No.
hadn't gone and rewatched it because I was, watching the 1700 years of supernatural that comes after it. So
Right.
um I think especially watching it during this rewatch after having seen later episodes
Yeah.
where the tone has dramatically changed. Um Not that I don't like those later episodes, but it makes me appreciate Bugs more for what it is,
Yeah.
for being one of our like precious season one
Yeah.
baby episodes. Like,
Well, and we get a lot of I don't watch the show for the graphics. Shocker. I don't care if
weird.
like there's some and I that is something I've always been like kind of weirded out by that people said, "No, this is a objectively bad episode." And I'd be like, "Where are we getting that? Are we getting it from like who are we getting it from?" And from what I can understand is like the creators, they didn't like it. So, and I would like to just sit with the writers of the episode versus those who are working on it, like the graphics and stuff, and just be like, so where's the breakdown? Because I think the script is really good. Let's get into some of the stuff that is like, like genuinely really good. So we start off with Dean hustling pool, which is another thing we love. We love to see their background and like what they have done to survive because I think Dean says like this is a job and it doesn't pay well and it's like yeah, you don't get paid anything for what you do. So they have to find a way to survive. And so
Right.
we have that kind of real world thing
Right.
happening.
Sam is just like chilling on the hood of the car with a newspaper, waiting for Dean to be done.
Stop.
And
That was my next. My next note was iconic scene of Sam sprawled across the hood of the Impala.
yes. And he chides Dean for doing this like dishonest day's work. To which
Mm-hmm.
Dean is like, that's how we were raised. And Sam is like, well, how we were raised was jacked. Like,
Yeah, this isn't normal or
Dean,
okay.
please understand, not normal.
He can't. So
He can't. He can't.
we get a lot of moments like that with them though. We get a lot of brother moments with them. Like playfully kind of like negging each other. I think like who gets to go down into the sinkhole, they're like kind of playfully messing with each other. What are you scared? No, flip a coin. It's cute.
And then
And
some catches the coin and is like, I'm going.
yeah,
Like,
he's like, I don't even care what it says. I'm gonna do it. Um I think I said something. Sam is in this faded ass checkered shirt that I hate. It's ugly. But I said at least Dean isn't in 3 shirts this time. But he was in 3 shirts. And like the last 3 episodes, he had
oh
3
my
shirts
God.
on. I swear to God.
That was a thing in fandom, wasn't it? Like, why
Yeah,
does Dean wear so many shirts all the
he's got
time?
3 shirts. And I do think the outer blue shirt sometimes is supposed to be a jacket, but it's not a jacket because he does have a blue jacket. And I can tell when it's a jacket. And I can tell when it's just a 3rd shirt. So
So when I was in high school, there were these like flannel, they were jackets, but they looked like shirts. They had like shirt collar
mhm,
and shirt button, but they were like flannel on the inside. And
yeah.
that was a very common thing. So
Mhm.
I wonder if that's like a look that they were going for. I'm about the same age as Dean.
I don't know. I
I
think,
grew up in the Midwest. So like I'm just
yeah,
wondering like
they also filmed in Vancouver, so it would be very cold. So maybe they were
yes,
just like, hey, normal clothes, but more of them
more of
because it's
them.
cold. I don't know. I think it's
I
fun
don't know.
when that
Yeah.
happens. But um as they approach the little suburb though, they're like Dean's like, oh, he like shudders because he's like, this is so like suburban and like
Yes.
terrifying. And Sam's like, what do you mean? Like everything looks really cool. Like it looks
Yes.
nice and homey. And he's like, yeah, boring. And Sam's like,
Yeah.
nothing wrong with being normal. And that's again where he says the normal thing. Like, I think that's where people get confused too. Like he wants to be safe, but like he also is interested in normal.
Right.
And
Well, and he's I really got the sense in this episode that he is interested in making Dean understand
yeah,
how messed up things were because he has had space from
yes.
the family. He has undoubtedly made friends at college who talked about their families.
Yeah.
And he has come to understand that it doesn't have to be the way that he grew up, but Dean hasn't had that time away.
You're right.
Dean
He's been
Dean is still
immersed.
immersed in it.
Hmm.
So I actually that was my next note too. Sam is spends a lot of the buildup of this episode, the setup of this episode,
Hmm.
getting on Dean's case for doing illegal things to get money
Yes.
for like posing as homeowners, you know, for the barbecue. I mean, also for the case,
So
but
he gets
also
free food.
free
Yeah.
food. And um and Dean's just like, this place gives me the ick.
Yeah.
Like this is boring. It's not hard to think that Sam might be wondering what it would have been like to grow up in
Ugh,
this manicured lawn like environment.
right. And
And
Dean says, I'd take our family over normal any day. And it's like, well, you haven't even really gotten an opportunity to consider what that even means.
yeah, he's never had the alternative.
No, I think that's so insightful too to bring it back to Sam being at school. He's witnessed other people's normal life. He's witnessed and observed and like he's been immersed in that other out, thing he could never achieve, things that Dean could never achieve being in the household of a hunter. So
Mhm.
he's like, I've seen it work for people and I've seen it be really pleasant.
Yeah.
And it
I'm
weirds Dean out that to see it at all.
Dean, this is actually it's good to have a stable environment to grow up in. No, no, I
Right.
so boring. Okay, cool, cool.
Also, this is the first episode where they're mistaken for a gay couple.
I was wondering because I hadn't watched Urine Vix episodes
Mm-mm, no, this
before
is
this.
it. This is the first.
So I was wondering if this is the first one where it happens. And I love
Mhm.
so of course the first time it happens, they're like, we're brothers. Like,
Mhm.
no, that's funny, but no. But then the second time it happens, because it's clearly a script that these folks have memorized. The second time it happens, Dean is just like, all right, I'm leaning into it.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I wrote.
I have seen an opportunity to make Sam uncomfortable in a hilarious way, and I'm gonna take it. And Sam's face
Yes,
after the butt pat is he's trying to act normal in front of this realtor lady.
yes.
He's got his little pressed together lips and his little dimples, and he's just
Oh,
like, it's just the cutest.
it's
How
very
is he
cute.
7 feet tall?
I
But
know.
he's simultaneously just a tiny little
He's
baby.
a
Like,
tiny boy. Yeah, I know. He does that really well.
he does that so well.
It's so funny. Well, another note I made, and you'll have to tell me if you thought this too. I said, why do I recognize so many screenshots of Sam from this episode? Did the Sam fam go nuts making GIFs from this episode 10 years ago on Tumblr? And I really think
Probably.
we did. Like, I think Jess must have just did a whole like bunch because I remember so many. I'm like, I know that 1 2 second moment very well. It must have been on my feed over and over again.
Yeah. Don't you sometimes feel blessed to be friends with like
Very
a bit
talented
a very
people.
talented main supernatural giffer? Like,
Yeah.
Like,
She's
oh, that
churning them
person,
out.
one of my
Yeah.
friends, I'm in a group chat with that person.
Yeah, she's so bad.
Semi-famous. I've
She's
touched greatness.
Tumblr famous.
That's right.
Eh?
Um, but oh, right after that scene with the realtor,
Mm-hmm.
um, he sees Matthew,
Yes.
and the tarantula, and
Yes.
he just brushes that realtor off. He's like not wasting any time on her, and he so gently picks up that tarantula, like no fear. I don't know how
Yeah.
Jared feels about spiders in real life, but Sam is just like
Man.
scooch, like he takes this little, you guys listening can't see this, but he just kind of pats it on the backside and it kind of scoots onto his hand. And I was just like, oh, he's so gentle with that little tarantula.
Yeah. Well, that's where I wrote in all caps because, like, I haven't watched season one in a while, and I haven't written about any of the show in forever. And I was like, oh, this is the one where the boys realize they have totally different understandings of their childhood. And
Yes. Oh,
that's why Bugs immediately does not suck. It is very important to the lore of the brothers, to the foundation of what we understand about Sam and Dean and their dynamic.
yes. Yes. And that is why I started this out saying this is like Supernatural's universally reviled episode. And then I ended up writing 4 pages of notes about it.
Yeah, it's one of
Like,
my longest for sure.
yeah, it's definitely my longest.
Yeah.
And it's because there are so many moments of like Sam is watching himself in Matthew when his
Yes.
dad comes up. He's
Mm.
got that kid's arm in a grip and
Oh,
he's
yes.
walking him away, like marching him away.
Like he's
And
embarrassing. Yeah.
yeah, and Sam doesn't even hesitate to be like, remind you of anyone? Like to
Right.
Sam, it feels obvious that this is how their relationship, at least his relationship with their dad is.
Yeah.
And Dean's like, he never treated us like that.
Yeah.
I mean, and Dean isn't even like hesitating for a second either. He's like,
It's like, what are you
what?
talking
What are you
about?
talking about?
Yeah.
And Sam's comeback is like so, to me, it's so biting. Like, well, he never treated you like that.
You were perfect.
Yes, he was all over my case.
Yep. He
Like,
said I could do nothing right.
mhm. Like those, I'm okay with Dean not knowing that at the beginning of this episode, but as the episode goes on, it's like Dean having learned this information about how differently they view their childhood makes him kind of want to double down on it
Oh, 100%.
because he probably feels complicit in it
Yes. Which
because
is
he,
because he was treated differently because he bought in.
mhm.
And I think he does feel jealous. And we kind of get into this with Scarecrow, which is a few episodes from now, but he wishes he could have made those same choices and he always knew that Sam could. And if he were to agree with Sam, again, like we've talked about in the past, Elle, this is making his whole worldview crumble. So
Yes.
he says things like, well, maybe he had to raise his voice a time or two, but sometimes you were out of line,
You
Sam.
were out of line. Yeah, I wrote that down and then I wrote, ew.
Ew. And then Sam's like, you mean when I wanted to play soccer instead of learning bow hunting? And Dean's like, well, that's a very practical skill. And it's like,
Bow hunting is important, Sam.
I'm
Okay,
like,
but
yeah,
he's like
but
12.
it
Like, come
shouldn't
on.
have to be. It shouldn't have to be important because you shouldn't be in
Yeah.
a lifestyle that it requires you to know how to do bow hunting.
Or it shouldn't be replacing at least. Like I
Exactly.
have friends who like I mentioned before, I grew up in the Midwest and I have friends who hunt for food even now.
Hmm.
And of course they learned bow hunting when they were younger. Of
Hmm.
course they know how to dress a chicken and then cook it later. Like,
What if I was
yeah,
like, who doesn't? I'm just kidding. I
they're
don't. I don't know how. I don't.
I'd be like, am I the only one?
It's
Wow,
only
I'm
you.
really, it's only me. Everyone else makes their own chickens every
I have
night.
a little
Anyway.
coop over here. No, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God, that would be funny. Um, I'm not going to get off topic about chicken coops I've seen in my town. Anyway. So yeah, it's an important skill and there are people in the world, in the US even, in the Midwest even,
Yep.
who use that skill as a survival skill in their everyday lives. but those people still got to go do baseball
You're right.
or be in the band at school. They still went to high school.
Mm-hmm.
Most of mine I know still went to college. Like,
Yeah.
it's not one or the other, but for Sam
For
and
Sam and
Dean,
Dean, it has to be.
it was 24/7 like military training.
Only because of their veteran dad. Like,
Yep.
I wrote that
Mhm.
exact thing. I said fun isn't allowed, only useful skills and duty are allowed. And I said, yet somehow these men still got to adulthood in the hunter world and still didn't know how to identify demons. So John really just sucks ass, to be honest. Like, he made sure his kids had zero fun, felt zero value unless that they were hunting, and they still grew up not knowing how to identify demons. Like, what was all of that for, John?
Right. So
Like,
if this was a Dean podcast, I would make a point here about how maybe that's why Dean has embraced um like creature comforts and fun in
yeah,
his adult life because he wasn't really able to have that so much. But
oh, for sure.
Sam has gone the other way.
Yes.
Like not that he has embraced working all the time, although that will be a conversation that we get into
Yeah.
in later episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But he wants nothing to do with any of it and
Right.
wants all of his life to be not survival based.
Yeah, he wants to live, not
Yeah,
survive.
yeah,
And he wants to just live something normal.
yeah, yeah.
Also, Sam drives the Impala again. He drives the Impala a lot in the
He
next one.
does. Oh, let
Mm-hmm.
me find my note. Sam is driving in all caps. Fuck everyone who says Dean never lets Sam drive. He clearly does.
He does. They split it a lot in the
Yeah,
first season, like a lot, a lot.
yeah. I think
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if it was like fan reaction. This is also a later conversation, but I wonder if it was like fan reaction to the character of Dean that made them kind of play more into I'm the driver, because
I wonder.
as the series goes on, they get their character traits that they stick with.
Well, I also think as the show goes on, they get lazier. And
Yeah.
so they start just kind of saying, well, Dean's he's like the angry guy who likes to drive the truck and he likes girls and beer. And
Mhm.
Sam eats an apple and he reads. And I think
Yeah.
that's kind of like what they do. I don't even know if it's more to do with the fans' reaction or just like as the show
Laziness.
evolves. Yeah, I really do think like once the original first 5 seasons, the arc ends, Kripke leaves, it goes to Sarah Gamble for like half a season, which is, by the way, awesome. Love that part. She's run off and it goes to dudes from like 6.5 onward and it
Mhm.
changes hands a few times. You see the depth like diminish, 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 diminish. And I think across the board. And when we get the depth again, it's always on accident. And I
Yeah.
really do feel like they were just, I mean, we have writers on the show who never watched the original seasons
Which
to even
astounds me.
know, yeah, to even know what they're dealing with. And so they're like, oh, yeah, Din's the driver. Sam shuts his cake hole. That's it. That's all they know.
Right.
And so I
That's the
really,
that's the
yeah,
phrase. That's the phrase. So that's the rule.
not to be a dick about the later writers, there's a few that are really good, but I will
Yeah.
say it becomes a shell of what it starts as. And if you're writing on a show that you only know generally the mythology, then you're going to start writing characters in that way. And I think it was literally, it was just laziness.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
Whoops.
We love the
Bugs.
writers. Everything is wonderful.
We don't have large opinions,
Uh-uh.
which is why we're doing an entire podcast. Okay. So Dean with a towel around his head was very cute, emerging
That
from the
was cute.
shower. They had to be squatters for a night. He was like, yes, let's go squat. And Sam's like, face palm. Like, no,
Yeah.
we shouldn't have to do this. And he's like, which is really cute.
So this is one of my like boy comments, I guess. I
Mm-hmm.
find it really hard to believe that John never had them squat in a house.
I bet they did. And I bet that's why Sam was like, ew, I don't
We're
want to
gonna
do this.
squat in an empty house.
Yeah. He's like, please, or didn't we grow out of that? That's how I kind of read it with Sam.
Oh, I'll read
And
it that way from now on.
Dean's like, no, man, I want to
Let's do it. There's a steam shower.
Well, what's
Yeah.
so funny is they squat in this house, and I'm like, where did the towels come from? It's cheap, but whatever, it's fine.
Show towels?
So they asked this, I can't remember who they're talking to the next day. It might be Matt, the young teen, but he says, "You're not serial killers, right?" And
Oh
I
my
was
God,
like,
I love that
"We
line.
kind of are."
They are. They actually kind of are.
Serial killers. And
I
oftentimes, if you specifically think about how often they have to kill hosts of whatever they're fighting against before they have the big conversation about demons and hosts, they're killing lots of people.
kill a lot of people.
A lot of
Oh
people.
man. I just feel bad for Matt.
Mhm.
This poor kid just wants to indulge his hyper focus with bugs,
And
and like
it's
these
just like it's
weird
science.
grown-ups are just like following him around.
Yeah, it's like, well, I mean, at least Sam and Dean like want to listen to him. Like, I think it's
Yeah.
wild that the dad is like, "You're such a freak. I'm so disappointed in you for," checks notes, "liking
Liking
animals." Like, what?
science for
He's a
being
biology
smart.
nerd.
Come on.
Yeah.
Well,
So
I mean, they clearly did narratively want to draw that parallel with Sam and John,
yeah.
and we know that Sam is a smarty. So,
Yes, I want to talk about that. I want to talk about that. So, okay. So Matt has tried to raise the alarm with his dad, Larry, but he won't listen because, and this is Matt's words, he's too disappointed in his freak son. So, of course, Sam relates, but Dean is surprised to hear that Sam relates because Sam's like, "I hear you." And they're kind of walking through the woods together. And Sam's like, "Don't worry, kid. In 2 years, something great will happen. College, and you can move away from your dad." And Dean's face next to him is just like,
ooh,
and he's like, "What kind of advice is that? This kid should stick with his family." So this is what I wrote. I'm gonna read it to you word for word. It says, "Now I don't know if it's just the era of deconstruction that we are all in as millennials, but I do not understand how Dean can sit there and hear both these guys talk about how bad it feels to be treated like they are by their fathers and still say family first. Like,
yeah.
it is such a weird thing to me.
I
And yet,
wrote, oh,
no, go
yeah.
ahead. And yet,
I
shrug is like how I ended
shrug. Yeah.
that.
So, I wrote, quote, a kid should stay with his family. Dean, how do you not know that kids grow up and go to college or move out and it's not considered leaving the family? Like, and then I wrote
Because in
cripes.
his family, if you choose to go to college,
Hmm.
you're out of the family.
You're out.
And he's
Well, and
speaking directly from his own experience. He's not even
yeah,
speaking for Matt. He's saying it, no,
because Sam was straight up literally disowned for it. Oh, and then Dean he acknowledges the similarities between Matt and Sam by calling them peas in a pod.
yes, he does.
So, like, it's kind of like, I don't like that you are educating me on how you felt,
Mm-hmm.
and it makes me feel bad,
Mm-hmm.
and I wish you wouldn't do it, but I also acknowledge that you felt that
Yeah.
kind
Well, and
of.
he probably feels outnumbered because Matt and Sam really relate to each other. And I'm
Mm,
sure Sam has felt outnumbered his entire life because Dean and
yeah.
John have always felt similarly. And so I'm sure at this point Dean's kind of like, "Ooh, this is weird. Like, I'm used to having backup to reinforce my worldview that John has instilled in me, and now I keep having to face all these examples of how that isn't necessarily true and isn't necessarily right for other people, specifically Sam."
Yeah.
Okay, so I was going to jump into that next part about Sam and Dean, kind of understanding their own childhood. So the first thing I put down about Sam and Dean next is that Sam is now in this horrendous mauve button up. Who is dressing this man? It is like the worst he's ever looked this whole season. So there's that. I hate what he's wearing this whole episode. Okay. So Sam and Dean are like driving, and I think Sam is actually driving, and he just like cuts to the chase with Dean, and he's like, "Look, I know this isn't about Matt and his dad. It's about you and me. And you think I don't respect dad." And I think that was such an interesting claim for Sam because it's like, it's one thing, like, I just think it's weird that the topic of respect comes up between two brothers about their parents. Like, I don't have siblings, so I don't really know. Like, it sounds like an interesting thing to be like, hey, you should respect our dad more. Like, I don't know. It just feels weird. Like, that's a weird thing for me. It's like one thing where it's like, hey, you're always fighting with that, or hey, you're always acting up, or you're being bad, or whatever. But to be like, you don't respect him, like, to me, that language speaks to a different type of like understanding of who he is in Dean's life. Like, obviously he's dad, but he's an authority figure.
Right.
And so it kind of speaks to the authoritarian in John. And so Dean wants to move on. He does not want to talk about it, but Sam insists. And he says, I did respect John, but, or he says, I did respect dad, but no matter what I did, it was never good enough. And so Dean is asking if Sam thinks John was like disappointed. He's like, do you think he was disappointed in you? And Sam's like, yes, he was. He is. He always has been. What are you talking about? And Dean is again shocked by this because he's never he's never viewed their childhood in this way, which I think is crazy that he's gone like his whole life never considering how things were on the other side of the treatment between John and Sam, since they did have such a different relationship than Dean and John always did. And
Yeah,
so
like he does get that it's a different relationship because he knows that they're at each other's throats.
yeah. Yeah.
But he doesn't seem to
He thinks
consider.
like once they're done arguing and they move on, that it's like when it's like when Dean fights with someone, they can fight and he can just like let it go. He doesn't think of how this actually impacts Sam, like, and his worldview and his self-value and his relationship with John in general. And he said, I wanted to be a normal kid, but the backwards way that John raised them made him the freak for wanting that. And
Yeah.
it's a sweet acknowledgement that Dean kind of says, yeah, you were like the blonde chick in the Munsters, which is like kind of like, and it's an apt analogy. It's kind of a cute way to be like, you're right. Like it was messed up the way that things happened.
Yeah.
But Sam points out, he said, you know what most parents are when their kid scores a full ride to Stanford? They're proud.
Proud.
But John kicks Sam out of the house. And the worst part for me in this whole conversation is that Dean claims that there were a few choice phrases from Sam's side too during that fight. And this is where I just like lose my mind basically, because the onus of having to keep cool while your dad threatens to like throw you out is placed on the shoulders of like a 17-year-old kid, like that he, a child, somehow has to earn the bare minimum treatment from his own father, an adult, by keeping his cool after a lifetime of being like neglected and abused. He's like, you don't even have to pay for me to go to college, I got it myself, like, aren't you
It's a full
proud?
ride.
Well,
It's
to a
a
great college.
Yeah. And that Dean thinks that a kid saying something mean is a reason for the dad to kick him out of the house
Yeah.
after getting a full ride to college. Like, it's
Yeah.
not enough reason to kick him out of the house in the first place. But then if your kid has also done something amazing, that's even
To
less,
punish them.
yeah, like that's even less good. And Dean thinks it's okay. I
Yeah.
wrote, Dean, you are so whipped for John at this point.
Yeah, I said something almost exactly. I said Dean buys so deeply into the myth of John that he puts Sam pushing back against John's lack of like parenting on the same level of betrayal. And so
Hmm.
like John's like abysmal job as a father
Ugh.
is the same as Sam wanting to make his own choices. And so, and this is why I hate John so much. Like there's no clear like example of what a terrible job he did with these boys than here, where they don't even realize how different a life they had when they lived in the same, I want to say house together, but in the same situation together. Sam claims he doesn't even
House.
know if John will like want to see him when they
Oh
finally
my
find
God.
him.
Yes.
And it's like, you know, that is devastating. You can see the tears in this man's eyes. And it's because he hasn't seen his dad since he was a teen.
Yeah.
And he only didn't get to see his dad for that amount of time because he did something that most people would be so like proud and impressed by. And I think that's why it hurts even more. And
Yeah.
Dean counters that John was never disappointed, but he was just scared of what could happen to Sam. And he, would be angry and try to control Sam because of that love and concern. But like Dean says that even when John was not even talking to Sam, as if giving your child the cold shoulder is ever okay, he would
Right?
still swing by Stanford to make sure Sam was okay and safe. And we
Right.
know, as the
Yes.
audience who's seen it a few times, like that later, this is not why he was keeping an eye on Sam. It wasn't out of love and concern for Sam. But even if it
Even if it
was,
was,
not
yes.
showing your child love, withholding that concern and care is still damaging, is still abuse. If you, and I use this all the time when I talk about this because I know a real world example of this where a friend of mine lost a parent and the parent was on their deathbed and they said, "Hey, why did you never tell me that you loved me growing up?" Because they finally did say it while they were dying. And the parent said, "Because I knew that you wanted me to." And that has always stuck with me because I'm like, that
Ew.
when people do this, they're not unaware that they're doing it. And it might be subconscious, and the act is that they don't do it in the moment because they're being mad. But after a while of that, it's a pattern and it's a choice.
And you
And
know that you're doing it.
yes.
Yeah.
And if it's a lifestyle that you've chosen for your entire life, for your children's entire life, you are doing it on purpose.
Yeah.
Doing these things in secret gets you no points if your boy thinks that you hate him for making his own choices. Like,
Yes. So I liked that Dean let Sam know
mm-hmm,
that their dad checked on him, even though we know that that's not exactly true.
yeah. And maybe Dean at this point doesn't even know why
Eh,
John did that. It
well,
probably,
he probably assumes that he's trying to keep Sam safe. He
yeah,
probably assumes that because he hasn't been told the terrible thing yet.
yeah,
So he probably just assumes that when dad went out there, he was checking on Sam. And he at this point is like, I he hears Sam say that I have always disappointed him and he was basically like fine to get rid of me.
right,
Dean is like, well, let me tell you something that will hopefully make you feel happier, which is
right.
and then Sam is like affected by that, right? He
Yeah.
says he says, "Why didn't you tell me any of that?" And Dean
Well,
is
why
like,
didn't he tell me any of that?
"Yeah, yeah, yeah." And Dean gives another excuse for John, which
Mm-hmm.
is the phone works both ways.
It's a
Okay, listen.
two-way street.
So why would Sam randomly think to pick up the phone and be like, "Hey, are you heading by to check up on me? Oh, you
Right.
are? I thought so. Cool, thanks." Like even just to check in, listen, I get it.
He was kicked
Because
out. He
he
was a
got kicked
child
out.
kicked out. Yeah.
I got kicked out of the house a
Mhm.
couple of months before I went to college, like just a little bit, not like Sam did. And you better believe I did not make the first call home.
I like how you were like, I got kicked out just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Right.
Like you're a teenager and you've got all that. For one thing, you've got no self-preservation. You've
Mm-mm.
got really hot blood. Just your anger is so fierce when you're a teenager. Like
Yeah. Well,
you're
and you are still
out
a
of spite.
child. Yes.
Yeah, you can't be expected to make the first move when something like that happens. It has to be the adult.
Yeah.
Like
John, the entire adult. A
the
whole
the a
adult.
whole ass grown adult man.
Yes.
Like saying the phone works both ways from Dean, like that just deflated all the goodwill I was willing to give him
Yes.
for trying to make Sam feel better.
And I know that he's doing his best, but he feels such loyalty and pull to John. So he's in this really tough position at this point in the series because he loves Sam so much. And I know he's so glad that Sam is there. But at the same time, he has to like wrestle with like his point of view on John. And they haven't ever had this conversation. Clearly, they've never
Yeah,
talked about this before.
yeah.
And I wrote in like all caps, I was like, this is such a false equivalence to say it's a two-way street. To think a child who has been kicked out could just call up his abusive father like it's nothing and for no reason, just
Be
out of the
like,
blue, like you were saying.
I know that you kicked me out and you never are going to allow me to come back because that's literally what you said to me.
Right.
But how are you doing?
Right. Like
Like
it makes no
how is
sense.
that gonna how does that make any sense? But it reminds me it puts me in mind of how Sam has to deal with these false equivalences for the
Constantly.
entire rest of his life.
Yeah, they never ever clarify or rebalance the dynamic, it's always like this. And I even said that. I said Dean's view on this is so skewed. But of course, Sam starts to feel guilt by the end of this conversation. And that's how the Winchester dynamic always works. And that's how the conversation will always end. And
that
then
always
we move on
15
to the Native
seasons
American
later.
curse. 100%.
Yes.
We'll
15
move on,
seasons
move
later,
on.
it will still be that way. It also reminded me a lot of when you're talking about Dean telling Sam, you know, Dad wasn't disappointed in you. He was worried about you, blah, 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 blah. It reminded me of how surprised Sam was to hear that their dad talked about him in the terrifying airplane crash episode.
Yep.
Like he truly can't believe it's possible that John might have spoken proudly about him or
And
positively
again,
about him in any way.
it's him hiding it from Sam. It's him
Yeah.
talking about it to other people, but never showing it to Sam. And you don't get
And that
credit for
Sam,
that.
right. And that Sam can believe so wholeheartedly that John would never say something like this. It's just so he believes so wholeheartedly that John would never say something positive. So
Yeah.
like in my own relationship with a parent, if I heard like that my mom wasn't saying something positive, it would like I'd have the brakes on. Like that doesn't sound like my mom, you know?
Yeah.
Like he fully believes that it's possible that John would never say a kind word. Like the fact that he can spend 17 years growing up with a person and wholeheartedly believe that they hate him or are disappointed in him.
Yeah.
Says something about that person.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, he says straight up, he's like, I don't even think John would want to see me when we find him. Like he believes that wholeheartedly as well.
Yeah. Oh, so sad.
I know.
I don't want him to find him, but
I know. Well, we have to because this whole not stupid season. I like this season, but it is all about John.
It's all about John,
which I do hate because I do hate John. But so the roaches come, which is gross.
All right, the magic Native Americans. Yep.
Yes.
Here we are.
They talk to a Native American man. They are like, yeah, they stole the land from us. That's why it's cursed. Y'all suck.
You get the flute sounds.
Yes.
The wise old dude who immediately knows that they're lying, even though they straight up lie to zillions of other people who never catch on.
It's because white people are stupid, let's be honest.
It's true. I mean, it's always a little bit icky to watch
a
depiction of like Native people
well,
in American TV. And this was like 20 years ago. So
yeah,
like,
and we'll get that
worse.
again in Home, but that's okay.
Oh gosh, yeah.
One of my favorite characters, but okay. So they figure out what to do. I still don't know what they do. They just like hold up in this.
They don't figure out what Dean says. So I wrote this down because I am curious. I don't remember. Dean says it's a curse.
Yeah.
So there is no figuring out a curse. You just have to get out of its way.
That's why at the end, what to do is they just do not continue that settlement.
Well, right. In the end. Yeah. But to defeat the immediate danger of this family getting bug bites.
Yeah. There was like,
I guess
like a plague of like bugs that were going to come and like eat their brains, I guess. And instead they just shut the door. I laughed so hard. I said, not Dean thinking he can keep all these bugs out by sticking a singular towel under the door.
Get a towel.
It worked.
I was like, I hope that these new construction houses are like airtight because that's going to be a problem. And nope.
And then I said, you're telling me they were fighting for their lives from midnight to sunup, but it was just that one scene? Like, okay.
So, yeah. So
that's why the episode logistically doesn't make sense. But every single moment with the boys is, I would say, like, absolutely imperative to the story of Sam and Dean.
Yeah, yes. All of the Sam and Dean brother moments, the greater world building of the relationship between these two brothers and the relationship they have with their father is the meat of this episode. Yeah. I would call it the A story, and these bugs are just the B story. Yeah. I'm sure 100%. That's not how it was written, but that's how it feels. Like,
yeah,
that I am. Oh, the thing I wrote about a curse was, do they break curses later?
Yes.
I thought
they can't they can't keep some of these rules they set up early on because the
Yeah.
first time they exorcise a demon, it is an actual exorcism that banishes them to hell forever. And
Yeah.
later, they don't have anything like that because the demons will go to hell, but they'll just pop back up
They
in a
just
new
come
vessel.
right back.
So they
Yeah.
can't keep some of these rules throughout the
Yeah.
series, or it just becomes untenable, I think.
Yeah. And
Unless they
I
never face a curse in the future and it's like other things, but I don't
isn't
think that's
isn't the
true.
rabbit's foot a curse?
Yep. See, yeah, I don't think that no,
Do
they
they
can't
ever
keep that.
do they actually break the rabbit's foot? Yeah, they do.
They
They
do.
burn
Oh
it.
my God, I can't wait.
Oh,
I
that's a
can't wait for
future
that one.
episode. I love that episode.
It's so good.
I
Oh,
hope
it's
that
so
I'm
good.
on the roster on I'm on
Oh
the
yeah,
calendar for that one.
we'll make it happen. But
Oh, okay, good.
yeah, for sure.
So yeah, I mean, okay, and then when they're trying to solve it though, in the process of like, okay, we got to get out of here, Matt is like, he's not going to listen to me, and Sam's like, make him listen. Like
Oh
that is
yeah.
not going to work, Sam. You are projecting so hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
So hard.
Mm-hmm.
And Dean is like, make him listen, and he just calls up and is like, the ER.
Yeah.
Just tell him you have appendicitis and you need to go to the ER. It's a good plan. It's a simple plan. He should have done it, but the kid who has bonded with Sam,
He's too much like saying.
he's too much like Sam, and he told the
Mm.
truth. He told the truth.
He just
You know what?
wants to be heard. Like he just wants his dad to listen to him. He doesn't want to have to lie to his dad to get him to do it. He wants to be able to say, "Dad, please, I'm telling you something. I need
Trust
you to hear
me.
me." Yes.
Trust
Yes.
me.
I get
Yes.
it. I get
And
it.
it just occurred to me that there actually is like a um lying, not lying dichotomy here as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Dean lies to
Mm-hmm.
get barbecue and to win money and now to get somebody out of the house or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Out of danger.
um, out of danger, which is fine. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. And then, but Sam is very much like he's pulling away from that so hard that he is erring on the side of honesty. Here we see to a fault, and the
Yes.
kid is just like him, so
Yeah.
he's going to do that too. And it occurs to me that the magical Native American
Mm-hmm.
guy caricature,
Yeah.
um he says, um he immediately knows that Dean is lying, so Sam says something and he goes, I like him,
Yeah.
he's not a liar. like
Dang.
like
Just
even
like
the side
Missouri.
characters. I know.
Can't wait to talk about her.
Dean gets so beat up in like both of these
I
episodes.
know. He gets, yeah, it's okay. I
Yeah,
mean, it'll be fine.
it'll be fine. It's fine.
There's more to come. We'll be
If
fine.
there's two where he gets beat up, that's like
Then fine.
great. I mean, maybe it took them an hour to get home, but it started at midnight, right?
Yeah, I'm
So
telling you,
then
it should have
an
been.
hour,
Mm-mm. It was
maybe they were in the attic like for
the
an hour
timing just didn't
before the
make any
termites.
sense.
Yeah,
It just
it's
didn't make
just
any
all
sense.
excuses.
No,
Yeah.
it doesn't make sense. But they survive and then the dad's gonna leave. And he
Mhm.
says healing his relationship with his son mattered more than his career. And I was like, bet that hurt Sam's feelings because he relates to
You
Matt and
just hurt my feelings.
I'm sorry, but like he gets to watch Matt and Dad heal their relationship, and it's not something that he and John will never do.
And it only
And
took one episode.
I know it's gonna take like 2 seasons for Sam and John, and it's still never gonna
It's
be
still
okay.
not gonna be okay.
But
Yeah.
Sam feels guilty and wants to find Dad to apologize, and Dean doesn't know for what. He's like, "What do you mean for what?" And Sam says, "Well, for the things that I said, even though." Dad was just doing his best. And I wrote, who cares what boomer wrote this script? Like,
Right.
just
Well,
because
and then
you did your best doesn't mean that it was okay. And also, there's no way that John could not have done better. Like, come the
right.
fuck on. Like, he did a terrible and abysmal job with these boys as a father, as a mentor, as a protector, and as like a teacher. Like, don't tell me he did the best he could. He absolutely did not.
He kept demons from them when we will learn that demons are a pretty big deal.
Like, what is wrong with this man? He sucks. Anyway.
I was also, though, annoyed at Dean because Dean did a great job guilting Sam into feeling bad. Good job,
Yeah.
Dean.
Ew.
But then he doesn't give him any words of reassurance when he's like, I want to apologize to Dad. He just says, you'll apologize, and then you and Dad will fight again, and it'll just be, everything will be back to good. Like, That's
Well,
not
at
good for
first he was like,
Sam.
for what? What do you mean? I'm like, you
Yeah.
literally said earlier
You're the one who said.
that you said you were there and you said it was a two-way street or whatever.
I'm like, how about you see your brother like feeling like absolute shit about a thing that you made happen, and then say, "Hey, dad has stuff to apologize for too. We'll
Yeah.
get it all out, and everything is going to be fine. Don't worry." No, 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 no. Yes, I confirm that you have things to apologize for now that you mention it. And you'll do that, or else, and then you guys will fight again, and it won't affect me, so guess it's fine.
Peace.
I don't
Yeah.
know.
Well,
I'm being really hard on Dean there, but
I do think
I was
with
so
Dean,
annoyed with him at that moment.
it's so hard for him to be emotional. So like when Sam's kind of like brimming with like that kind of vulnerability and that sensitivity, and he's like, I really want to see dad and apologize. And Dean's like, okay, I gotta talk about fighting right now. Like he has to,
Right now,
so I just think that was part of it too. But
I gotta bring it back to the masculine.
a place of man.
A man
A man
plays.
plays. I don't know. Okay, let's let it move on. We're gonna rate this
Yes,
episode. We
yes.
have lots of feelings about Bugs, but wardrobe judgment, we've got our 4 adjectives: horrendous, adorable, genuinely good, or terrible but great. What did you say for Bugs?
Okay, so you noticed ugly clothes. I did not notice. So I wrote adorable because it's nothing special and to me nothing egregious. Clearly, I think you disagreed with
Yeah, I
that.
fucking hated everything that Sam wore this episode. It was awful. That mauve button up was disgusting. I
I have to find it
hate it. It
because
was horrendous.
are we on the same Rusty Bacon team?
I am anti Rusty Bacon shirt.
Okay, so we're on Civil War.
No.
So I might actually like this maroon shirt. I don't
No,
know.
it's ugly. It's not, yeah, I can't imagine they would like it. There's no dimension to it. It looks like someone colored it in on like that old like drawing on old PCs. It looks like someone just clicked the paint and poured in it's awful. I hate it.
I'm gonna scroll through because there's 75 pictures of this episode on
On the wiki.
IMDb.
Oh, thank God. The wiki's a little Dean slanted, so I try to stay away from it.
I'm not going to the wiki. This is the like flannel shirt. I actually like that. I think I have one just like it.
There's one shirt that he wears that looks like it was sat in the back of the Impala, like in the window, and just faded from the sun. It's so ugly. I hate it. I hate everything he wears in this episode. I hate it.
I can't even detect like a different thing. That's just a t-shirt.
T-shirts I like. I don't like when they put him in the button-ups that have no I don't like him in those. It makes him look like he's very
he's
straight up and down. I just don't like it. Give
well,
him a
especially
slouchy little hoodie any
a
day.
slouchy hoodie is great. A jacket is great. A t-shirt
Yes.
is great.
They just haven't figured out how to style Jared yet, and sometimes it really works, and sometimes I want to
Well,
burn it.
he's a big boy.
He's a long boy.
He's a long boy, and he's I think you can kind of tell he's gonna get like that Dorito
Broader.
shape.
Yeah, he will.
And I think they're like
Dorito shape. That's what Captain America has done to us.
I know. I oh, that's a different topic. That's a different podcast.
We are on the same side of that
We
conversation.
are on the same side of that Civil War. I think I found it, but it just looks brown to me.
Yeah, it's
you just whisper into the mic.
Team Iron Man. Team Tony till I die, bitch.
Yeah.
Anyway,
all right, that's a different podcast. I think I'm seeing it. It just looks brown to me, but it is a little shapeless.
I hated it. So I'll put
I didn't care.
I put adorable and horrendous in there. Okay, so let's do Sam Girl friendly scale. We've got screen time, Sam Girl enjoyment, and heart eyes. Let's start with screen time for you.
Okay, so I wrote that it was meaningful. He wasn't sidelined. There's some really good dad angst. There's some really good conflict between him and Dean. I felt like there was nothing there weren't any parts of it that I felt were like dismissive.
Yeah, it was all pretty good.
In the narrative, of course. Dean
yeah.
being dismissive is part of the conflict. So that's So it was all good screen time. I think anytime fake bugs were on the screen, it should have been Sam instead.
Okay, fair.
I can't get over the spiders in the
Okay,
shower.
and spiders aren't bugs, right?
They're not insects.
So what do people say about bugs? Because I always say bugs to me are insects. I've never called a spider a bug because it's a spider.
I think that there are people who call like bugs as
Critters,
general critters,
little critters. Okay.
little
Couldn't be
critters
me.
with multiple legs.
Couldn't be
But
me.
there's insects and spiders and they're different. Yeah.
Yeah. I was just like,
I I'm I want to give it high. I'm gonna save that for Sam Girl Joy. The screen time was good. It was smushy. Um,
so what number did you give it?
uh,
You don't know.
you
You're
you
still
think
deciding.
you think I do these scores ahead of time?
I
did write
do.
notes about this one this time.
Okay.
I I think I'm gonna you're right. I have to leave space for stuff. So I'm gonna give it
It's not really. It's really okay.
a 4.5.
That's what I gave it. See, you're
What?
fine.
Really?
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay.
Yeah. Trust your instincts. They are never wrong.
My instincts.
Okay.
Okay.
So for enjoyment, what did you give it?
That's Sam Girl Joy, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I changed it to enjoyment in my head because sometimes the joy is not there, but the feelings are there. They're just not necessarily joy.
My feelings are joy, even if Sam's getting the crap
Even if
kicked
it's
out of
sad.
him.
Yeah.
Because that's such good Sam content. I like the angst and yeah. Dimples
Yes.
connecting with the guest star,
Yes.
which is not something that he always gets to do,
Yes.
especially later on.
Yes.
So much meaty internal angst, like getting expressed, being
Yeah.
able to express it, and he's not concerned about expressing it. He just says it.
And he's not being punished for it either.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna give this one a little bit higher, like a 4 point. What I put before? 5.
Yeah.
So I'll do like a 4, like 7.
That's what I did.
No.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna try not to do.
For Hard Eyes, it's not going to be the same because I want to set Sam's entire wardrobe on fire in this episode. So it'll be
That's
different.
true.
So what are your Hard Eyes
Well,
on a scale of 5?
just because I didn't care that is about his clothes doesn't mean that anything else was really. I wrote nothing swoon worthy. All the vulnerable stuff wasn't sweet
Yeah.
and like soft and gentle. It was all angry, and so I I I didn't. My Hard Eyes is going to be kind of low, like
Okay. No one's
maybe
judging you.
maybe in the 3s even,
Yeah. What do you give it?
like a 3.2,
Sure.
something like that.
Yeah. I gave it a 3.
There's not really, I mean, the vulnerable stuff is good, but it wasn't like
It wasn't like over the top. So
well,
overall,
and it was angry good. Like
yeah,
when he gets drunk and is like, "Ugh," that's sad and vulnerable, and I will give Hard Eyes points for that. But
we're not there yet.
we're not. I know I'm not.
But I know
we're
what
not
you're
there
talking about.
You know what I'm talking
I
about.
do. So I gave it a 4.06. You gave it a 4.16. And so overall average for this one is a 4.11 on the Sam Girl scale. And now we're ready to talk about Home, which I can't believe how much we talked about bugs, and Home is a heavy hitter too. So Home, episode 9 of season 1.
Oh my gosh.
It's so important. So the synopsis essentially is Sam has another nightmare that is essentially like a premonition of a woman screaming at a window at their old house in Lawrence. And he tells Dean, Because the cold opener is really, really scary. Like there is it's of the dream that Sam has, but there's something in this little girl's closet and it's very scary. It's like a fire. I don't know. It's really creepy. And so Sam convinces Dean, like, I know we're looking at other stuff around here, but like, can we please just go back and check on this? And it's the first time he kind of explains to Dean that he sees things in his dreams that then in turn happen to come true. And so they go to Lawrence, they confront what's in the house, and they find out a lot about Dad because they meet up with one of his old contacts, Missouri Mosley, who comes and she's a psychic. She walks through the house. She knows them pretty well. She knows John really well. And she basically says there's a poltergeist here. There's another spirit here too. This place is a magnet now for spirits. And at the end, they're able to get rid of the poltergeist because the second spirit turns out to be Mary, and Mary protects Sam from this poltergeist by kind of using her energy to destroy the poltergeist, and they're both gone. And so they end up leaving home and have all this new information kind of John. And as they're driving away, the episode ends where Missouri goes back to her like office and she seems to be talking to herself, but what you realize is she's actually speaking to John, and John is sitting there on the sofa. And you realize he is actively avoiding the boys because he was right there. And that's where it ends.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
am back. Okay, let's
Hello.
get into this. Hello, we are
Okay, so
doctors.
right. So I liked that we start with a victim in
Mhm,
this episode, just like other episodes. It's a cold open with a victim, but
mhm,
we're told explicitly in the little like captioning that the location is Lawrence, Kansas. So we
mhm.
know this one's gonna hit home for the boys, close to home for the boys, even if we didn't know the name of the episode.
Right.
So it's we already know that this is going to be something that is caught up with the overall myth arc. This isn't
Yes.
just a random ghost in a random house that happens to be in their hometown.
Right.
Like it sets it up from the very beginning as important episode. Pay attention.
Yeah. We have this like beautiful woman in jeans. I remember saying, I said, why is this hot mom still in jeans? Girl, put on your sweatpants. You are at home. Because she's like unpacking boxes and like doing all this stuff and taking care of her daughter and her like baby. And I'm just like, there's no
And there are
woman I
no
know who would be in her jeans at 9 p.m. at night. Go put your pajamas on.
also turn on some lights.
I
She's unpacking in the dark.
know, like, what are you trying? You're trying to make sure you have bad eyesight by the morning. But she does
Trying to make
find
sure every ghost in town comes to her house.
dumpster. So she does find some of the Winchester's old photos. And so you already kind of understand, like, oh, that is the
It's
house. Like
their house.
there they
Yeah.
are. And so, obviously whatever's happening in the house, it's terrorizing the poor little girl and it's terrorizing the mom. So I also made note of Sam starts out with this long sleeve knit t-shirt, and I was just like, yes, here we're already doing better. Like we're in a long sleeve knit t-shirt with kind of cool stripes. It's not the same old. Also, Dean is in this cute rosy plaid that's really pretty. He looks really good in that color, and I was like, thank God, because the last episode I was so offended by their wardrobe. It was so bad. But
Oh.
so Sam does not want to tell Dean about his vision. Like he tries to get around it. But
Yeah.
Dean's like, you have to give me more if you want us to drive back home. And
Mhm.
he doesn't want to accept that Sam's dreams come true. He's like, what? He's kind of freaking out. And Sam's just begging him, like, please believe me, please, let's just go check it out
And
just
he
to make
tells
sure.
and he tells Dean in like a fit of panic
He's like,
about
please, it's so urgent.
his visions about Jess.
Yeah. He's like, I
Like
saw it days before.
like
And
he has to do that because he knows it's the only way that Dean is going to believe him.
he's gonna believe him.
And even then Dean is like,
No.
coincidence?
Yeah. Well, and Dean like, and he does not want to go back there because
Mm-mm.
he has promised himself, he swore to himself he'd never go back. And I feel like that is a really good moment for us to better understand like Dean's relationship to what happened to him and the trauma of that moment that night. I wrote poor Dino. Um,
Mhm.
and but he agrees, like Sam's like, we
He
have to go
does
check just in case. And
because they gotta save people
Dean
regardless.
goes, he
So,
goes, I know. And I just
mhm.
I hated it. It just was sad to me because it was like he was like, I know we have to go. I just this is the worst case scenario for me. So I said,
Yeah,
I can't imagine how painful this is for Dean. And it is painful for Sam having no memory, of
it's a
Mary, but
different kind of painful. Like
yeah,
Dean
because
has
Dean
memories in that house.
100%. He does remember. And he has a vivid, I'm sure, a vivid imprint of what that house means to him. When they left it, it was burned. And they're gonna have to
Yeah.
go back and see it in its like totality now, like rebuilt and like and new stuff happening. It's just I can't
Hmm.
imagine.
Yeah. It's rough stuff for
Yeah.
Dean.
So they try to go talk to hot mom in the jeans. She's still in jeans the next day. And Dean tries to lie his way in. Sam tells the truth. Sweet
Yep.
smile, truth gets him in the door. And
Yep.
it works. Dean is really bothered by Sam's visions. Like it really upsets him. Um, and I feel like this is kind of a taste of what we get later as we continue to
Yes.
understand Sam's abilities. Like Dean is on this is the best case we're ever gonna get. The more Sam or the more Dean understands what Sam's abilities are, the less patience and the less like open he'll be about it. And the more like I'm gonna say aggressive and
Yeah.
angry he gets.
Well, Dean is aggressive about exterminating monsters, and we'll get into that with the whole
Mm-hmm.
um vegan
Season 4
vamps.
stuff, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, in season 2, season 3.
Yeah, and Sam has always been a little bit more like, okay, well,
It's not
is the
what you are, it's what
monster,
you do.
yeah,
It's your choice. That's his
that's the
line.
yeah. And so it's that it's happening to someone who's so close to Dean, who
Right.
he has sworn to protect. This is like his worst case
Worst nightmare.
scenario. His worst nightmare is
Mhm.
Sam turning into a thing that Dean would have to hunt. And he expresses that without seeming to have any self-awareness at all
Yeah.
multiple times through the series.
Well, and this is the first time that we get a taste of what it will be like for Dean to acknowledge Sam's abilities. And he immediately is angry, not at Sam, but just like, what do you mean? Like he's just like, it's frightening to him. And instead of being like, whoa, that's kind of cool, like he's like, that's scary, that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
And so, anyways, they
Yeah.
go to the house, they look around, and Sam asks Dean what he remembers about the night that mom died. And we
Yeah.
realize as viewers that these two men never talk about anything. They literally never talked about that night. And Sam has never been told that
Well,
Dean's the one who carried him out of the house that night.
he's never been told that. And we saw in the pilot, he's not even allowed to like talk about mom.
It's deranged. John never gave the boys any answers about their mother's death. And now they have to figure out all this stuff for themselves. They have nothing to go off of. And I literally could not hate this man more. That was the last part of my notes. I was just like, what an absolute piece of crap. Because
That's
not only
funny.
would it have been good for these two boys to process through their mother's death, Mary didn't just die at John. She died at her two sons. Her two sons lost their mother, and all John ever cared about was his own pain, his own vengeance, his own like whatever like journey he was on, and he absolutely neglected the boys and what they might need. And I'm just watching a 22-year-old and 26-year-old on my screen discover for the first time what actually happened, the worst night of both their lives that happened 22 years ago. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, what?
Like that's wild.
I hate him. Anyways.
That's wild. Um,
Oh,
yeah.
and then the next thing that happens, so Dean says, "Okay, I'm gonna run to the bathroom." And he
Yes.
calls
Hmm.
John. He just runs to the other side of the gas station and calls him. And he's distraught.
He
And he's
is
like,
so upset.
he has tears in his eyes as he shake. And this might be the first time I think we've seen Dean cry in the series, I
Like
think.
this emotional.
Yeah. He says, I know I've left you messages before. I don't even know if you get them. I said, stop right there. That is infuriating to me that the desperation of this of Dean that and his need for his father's help, and he isn't even sure if John gets his messages, and he nearly cries and he begs for his father to help. And he's like, I don't know what to do. And he begs his father, please, I need your help. And his voice cracks and I die. And his dad is down the freaking street.
Right? That oh. I am
Oh.
curious why Dean doesn't tell Sam he's calling dad. Like it's not like Dean
Yeah.
has been communicating with dad in secret.
Right.
He's having the same problem that Sam is, which is I've called him 50 times, he doesn't pick up. Um, so it has to be that he just doesn't want to let on how like upset and scared he is,
Yes. I got
right?
that. And I also got like
Still
if
protecting.
he's protecting his like masculinity, but I also think that if John had picked up, he would say, Dad, Sam's having visions. And I think he would have wanted to talk to John about that and see what that was about.
Mhm.
So it's also to me that speaks to othering Sam, like he's hiding this conversation because if he were to be able to get to talk to him, he'd be like, I need to talk to you about this too because I'm freaked out. What does this mean?
And that just I feel for Dean in this moment. He is so emotional. He's going through it. He is really going through it. But at
Yeah.
the same time, like this is just an early example of stuff that Dean does that involves Sam without Sam knowing. Like that conversation should happen with all three of them, not Dean and John about Sam, but he should be like, I got dad on speakerphone. We need to all talk. We need to talk about these visions that Sam is having. Sam,
100%.
describe the last one you just like, like
Mm-mm. Nope.
it shouldn't be Dean and John talking about it in secret.
Yep.
And it's just that kind of thing is just going to continue.
Exactly. And it's Sam felt othered his whole life because he wanted
Mhm.
a normal, safe life. And now he's going to feel othered because he's going to feel like a freak for different reasons, for
Yeah.
having abilities.
Now, even within his family, he's a freak.
Yep. Even within the hunting world. Yeah,
He's a
100%.
freak.
Oh,
Yeah.
poor
Yeah.
baby.
Oh,
The next thing I wrote was, oh no, is this the disposal episode? And it
I
is.
said, I wrote, I think this scene caused my anxiety.
It's so bad. So there's a guy who comes over to work on Hot Mom from the beginning. I cannot remember her name, but all of them, every single character they ever hire is like a hot girl. And so she's this beautiful blonde woman, hires someone to help with the disposal. And we all know watching, like, do not put your hand down there. Do not put your hand down there. And as
Don't
soon
do
as he
it. Oh,
does,
they did it.
it goes off and there's like this clinky little like monkey toy that's like going off and it's like bashing symbols together playfully as this man's arm is being torn off. Like it's
But
just
that is
terrifying.
like another tried and true horror symbol.
Yeah. The
Is the
poltergeist is
moving doll,
yep.
the chimp with the symbols that, we have something in our house that makes noise just every so often. I don't know what triggers it. Um,
Poltergeist.
I don't know if it's one of our son's like motion sensitive type toys. I don't know where it is. We've never been able to find it.
Oh my
It was do
God.
it was doing this in the last house we lived in and moved with us.
Okay, I don't like that. You don't know where it is, but it's still there somehow. Don't like
And
that at
and I
all.
just hear it in the middle of the night sometimes. I figure like a cat walked past it and triggered it, but I don't know where
Sure.
it is.
That's
So
what happened.
that's what happened. Damn it, that's
Mm-hmm.
what happened. Woo.
So
Anyway.
they try to find people they can talk to figure out what happened when they were
Mhm.
kids. They find this old friend of John's. He says, "Oh yeah, he was a stubborn Marine who hated losing." I said, "Oh, that's my nightmare." But he says about John, but he sure loved Mary. And I said, "Not enough to take care of her sons." So that's where I stand on that.
He sure loved Mary. That's
But
interesting thing to say
mm-hmm,
to two people who you don't know,
mm-hmm.
right? Because they didn't identify themselves. They're getting this information about their dad from a third party who doesn't know who they are. So he doesn't does he say he sure loved Mary?
He sure
Oh,
loved Mary.
and he doted on those boys, right?
I don't know. I said
I
not
think
enough to take care of her sons. I was too mad to
yeah.
hear the rest, maybe.
I was waiting for him to say something about his
Mhm.
kids because the way he just says he sure loved Mary, I'm just like, and
That
Like the
seemed to be the
suns are standing
only
in front of
thing.
you.
Yeah.
Like
What about me?
anything? Scraps? Can I?
No.
But yeah,
So
yeah.
then they go to a palm reader, and that's when I went into all caps because I was like, do we get to meet Missouri Mosley? Because I forget the timeline and like who these people are in the story. So I was really excited. She's one of my favorite side characters who should have been in a reoccurring character until forever. I feel like she widens to me, she broadens the hunter world. Like there should be people who are like tarot readers and astrologers and psychics and
I love her.
mediums. I
I
love her
love her so
so
much.
much.
She's so gentle with Sam after she takes his hand when they meet. She knows exactly who they are.
Well,
She takes
Sam
Sam's
girls love
hand
her because she favors Sam and she's mean to Dean.
because somebody has to favor Sam.
I know no one else will.
And of course, she never shows back up. So, but
I think she does, and I think they kill her. Like
what? Does
they,
she die?
I think so. I don't want that to be true. I know they do that to Sarah, who they will meet later in the season, I think.
Yeah.
But I do think they do that to Missouri. But if I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong. We'll just pretend that that isn't true. But
Yeah.
that's what they tend to do with old characters. If they can't think of something to do, they'll bring someone back, and then as like a big shock, they'll kill them
It'll be
off.
like, that
And
person's back. Uh-oh. Well,
unless
they're
it's a
gonna die by
male
the end.
character, and then the male characters get to stick around for like literally forever. Anyways,
Yeah.
so
Anyways, so
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 she
yeah,
puts she
yeah,
puts
she
Dean in this place. Sam
yeah.
loves it. He's delighted. Missouri couldn't
Says,
tell.
I also wrote he's delighted.
Yeah,
It's never happens. This is amazing.
and she couldn't tell what the thing was in the house, but she does know that it's evil. And the light, I said the lighting on Sam's face in Missouri's scene is chef's kiss. And Sam tries
So good.
to Sam is trying to outweigh how precious he's looked throughout this episode with that awful muted blue vertical striped button-up shirt that he wore earlier.
Oh
Yeah.
man,
I was
you are
I was on
so
a
tuned in.
I was on a rampage about that horrible shirt earlier, but Dean has to save Sam from getting like the poltergeist tries to choke Sam out. And so Dean has to like save him, and then he kind of holds him and like
Yes.
pats him, which is a really sweet moment.
Okay, so yes, Sam getting choked by the electrical cord from that lamp or whatever.
Yeah.
He's unable to get his part of the spell into the part of the wall that he's assigned to. And he's not just like, he's struggling at first. He's not just struggling by the time Dean shows up. He's like out of energy. He's like out of air. He's like holding on. So the way that Dean has to like hold him up just to get the cord from around his neck, and then Sam flops backward, like he's boneless, he's done.
Yeah.
And Dean has to catch him and hold him again
Yeah.
just to make sure that he's breathing. And I'm just like, my brother.
Yeah, it's a really sweet moment.
It's such a good in the heat of like an emergency to be able to show moments like that is so much more, to me, so much more impactful than like constructing a scene where they get to sit down at a diner and then have a heart to heart or something. Like,
yeah,
those are nice. But these ones where it feels so much more visceral.
yeah, because he doesn't have a choice in how he reacts. Like Dean is reacting to Sam's life being in danger, and I think that just, it's more honest because he doesn't have time to bravado or time to like think of how to react. It just is it's what he's feeling, it's what he is doing.
Yes. Yeah.
And so we do get that. And then
oh gosh,
the big stuff that happens afterwards, we've got the poltergeist eventually trapping Sam.
Yeah, they think it's over.
Right.
And so,
not.
but Sam is like, I don't feel like it's over. So Dean trusts his bad feeling, and they're just sitting out in front of the house in a car. I'm sure Dean would rather be anywhere else. He thinks it's done, but he's trusting Sam.
Yep.
He's complaining like a little baby about it, but he trusts Sam. And then it happens. The scene from his vision happens.
Yes.
So they run in, and Dean is immediately like, you go get the kids, I'll get the woman.
Yes.
And then, and he like and what's her name? Jenny.
Mhm.
She is like, I can put myself in her place now that I have a kid. When I first watched this, I didn't, so I think it probably hit different. But if my house was, I don't know, on fire
Yeah.
or something supernatural or whatever, and a dude came in who I've met once before, came in and said, "Don't worry, my brother has your kids," I would be like,
No.
the hell he does. I'm going after my kids. Like, but
You're like, I
she,
too will have my kids. Yeah.
I will also have, let's race for it, in fact. Um, like, but the fact that he just knows that Sam is going to get the job done, and he doesn't really give her a choice. He just
Yeah.
strong arms her out of the house, because otherwise they'll probably all die, frankly, because she'll
Right.
just get in the way. So, and then of course Sam just whoop one kid, whoop the other kid, just
Yes.
double fisting kids, like just trucking on down the stairs.
Another. Yeah.
And then he knows, like, you see the moment when he realizes
Yeah.
he's not getting out of the house.
Yes.
He's been caught.
Yes.
And he puts the girl down and he says, "Take your
Take
brother
your brother.
outside as fast as you can and don't look back."
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
It's just like what happened again. And so when that happens, they grab the two kiddos, like Dean and
mhm.
Jenny on the lawn, and they look back and Dean goes, "Where's Sam?" And the little girl goes, "Something's got him." And the door slams shut. Perfect timing, like very good horror movie stuff.
Oh
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
after like
So
I guess
affecting.
what the commercial break would have been, like Dean can't break in the door, he can't kick it in. He has to get an axe. And the poltergeist has Sam, or so you think,
Mhm.
against the wall upstairs. Dean comes in and this fiery, like human shaped figure is coming out of the closet. And Dean raises the gun to shoot rock salt, and Sam goes, "Don't shoot.
Stop. Yeah,
It's not, I know who it is."
I know who it is.
And it's Mary. And so Mary like for is like becomes corporeal or whatever in front of
Yeah.
them.
And
And she
Sam's
looks
still being held
gorgeous.
like pressed against the wall.
Yeah.
And
So
he's just
he is
crying
trapped
as he's
and
walking, as he's looking at his mom. He's just like crying,
and
just trapped against the wall, unable to like give her a hug or
yes. And
react in any other way.
Mary says his name, something he had never like had a memory of before, hearing his mother say his name because he was a baby when she died.
Uh-huh.
He
Uh-huh.
was 6 months old.
Mhm.
And Mary says that she is sorry. She says it directly to Sam. I said, I assume it's for all the bullshit he's going to have to endure because of the deal that she makes in season 4 and season 5 flashbacks, which we will get into later. But she apologizes to him and he cries, and then she turns and she destroys the poltergeist. And
Mhm.
there's just like this energy that whooshes through the whole house. And then Sam kind of falls, he's free. And then he says it's
Ugh.
over now, and there's tears running down his little face.
His little squish face.
He's a little
He
sad.
has such a squishy face in this one.
I know he's very sad. And then Dean, I mean, Dean too, he's just there shocked to have seen this.
Yeah.
Like, oh my
Like
God.
both of them are actually like beautiful
Yes.
in this scene and other scenes in this episode.
Yeah.
Like Dean, this episode has like the epitome, maybe the genesis of the Disney princess eyes
Yeah.
meme
Yes.
that follows Dean around.
Yeah.
That
Jensen has the glittery.
he has like the big wide like
Mm-hmm.
green. I'm
Mm-hmm.
trying to do it and it's ridiculous. But Sam has like almond shaped. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I'm like shorter, thinner, I don't know,
Longer.
longer.
No. And
But
Dean
then
has
he's
these big round eyes, like these big,
yeah,
like, yeah, 100%
yeah. But they're just both so like
lovely.
beautiful the way that they're presented and shot, the color palette that's used.
Yes.
It just brings out like the most emotional aspects of of Jensen and Jared's acting in this scene. I really love it.
Yeah. So they get into the Impala, they drive off, and that is where we end with Missouri speaking. And like it's kind of like a voiceover, and you hear her say, "Man, that boy's abilities are very powerful." And then it cuts to the room that she's in, and she finishes her sentence and says, "It's so strange she couldn't, or that he couldn't sense his own father in it." The camera like lands on John, and I'm just seething over your only cow.
Yeah. I'm gonna say something that's gonna probably make you mad.
Oh no.
John is really pretty
Oh
in
my
this.
God. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is the
He's
hottest person I've ever seen in my life.
so pretty.
Have you ever seen him on The Good Wife?
No.
He's the hottest person I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm not even exaggerating. Like, every time I see him, this man ages like fine wine, but better because I don't love wine. Like a nice stout whiskey. He's so hot. That doesn't make me mad at all. It is so true.
Okay.
They needed
He's
to,
so pretty. And the lighting that they
yes.
use,
They
like
had to cast someone that's
oh,
believable to have like
to
birthed
be
Sam and Dean
the
Winchester.
dad of these two extremely pretty
Yeah, they
boys.
had to
Yeah.
cast the hottest man alive. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
totally
So
down with that.
oh, his eyelash. I'm not even
He had those downturn lashes. You're totally right. Like they look like, you know, when
mm,
animes do like downturn lashes, but they'll look up through the lashes. It's
yes.
like that. I'm with you. He's truly only gets hotter with age.
I know.
But
It's
loved when Missouri was like, John Chester, I could slap you. Why don't you just talk to your
she really puts
children?
him in his place.
And it's
Yes.
what I scream every single episode. Like, yeah,
Yeah,
slap him. He's
absolutely.
absolute asshole. And he's like, I want to. You just don't have any idea how much I want to. Fuck off forever. You,
She's a psychic. She does know, and she thinks you're an idiot for it.
yeah, you absolutely should go talk to your kids. Like, what could you? That's the thing is they're trying to build like all this like mystery around it as if there's a good reason. But what we find out later is there really isn't that good of a reason because at the end of the
I don't
day,
even remember what the reason is because
it's
in this episode, he just says, "Not until I find the truth." I
well,
don't
and
remember what the truth was.
well, it's always building up this truth around Sam, around like the plan with the blood and the special children and all that stuff that we're going to find out through season 2. And all it turns out for Sam fans in general, we just are like, okay, so he has an ability. Okay, cool.
Cool.
Like like if
He's he has an ability in a world where the supernatural exists and they're friends with a psychic.
so like
That's the big okay.
it sounds pretty chill to me. Also, he didn't choose it. He was a baby. So, and he wants desperately to be a good person. So, like, why are we
So
freaking out? So,
I
I
think
feel
it's
like it was a lot
yeah.
of like hand wringing for nothing.
Well,
Unless you
you
buy
know,
into it, like Dean or
and
John.
it's yeah, and from like the narrative point of view, it's the first season of a show, and you're really trying to amp it up and set up things that come later. You just really want to succeed, so you have to make everything dramatic and meaningful, even
No,
if
I get it.
and then you hope that people 3 seasons later aren't like, wait.
I don't think it doesn't make sense. I think
Yeah.
it makes John a bad person and a bad father. And I think
I
he's
mean, that's definitely true.
and I think he's one of the worst characters in the show that the narrative tries to portray as a good guy. And that is the thing for me where it's like
Yeah.
this makes sense. I do think John would go to these links. I do think Dean
Yeah.
would also buy into it. I don't think it doesn't make sense. I do think we have to accept it makes John a bad father and a bad person.
Yeah. Well, and that's that I guess that's where my trip up is because the narrative doesn't want you to think he's a bad father, a bad person.
Well, they
Like
always want to
occasionally,
talk about how he's a Marine and he's a vet, and somehow that gives him like a pass for being a dick. And it doesn't to me.
and he's hunting people, saving things.
No,
You know what I mean. The other
you
way
gotta
around.
save all those
He's
things,
You got
y'all.
to save the things. He's saving people, and that is also supposed to be like the panacea that makes everything he does okay. But then the show also like I feel like there are even instances later where the show is like, look at this shitty thing John did.
Mhm.
Isn't it great? And you're
No,
like,
no, it's not.
no,
We
it's
hate
not
him.
great. It's
Well,
not great at all.
and you accidentally mixing those lines up just reminded me how dehumanizing they make it to hunt monsters. Where like we will get to an episode called Heart later on, where this woman doesn't know she's a werewolf. She becomes a thing.
I'm sobbing.
You can't and
First she was the people, and then
she
she
was
becomes the
the people.
thing.
She becomes the thing. And so the dehumanization of like that, like saving people hunting things, sometimes the things are demons, dude, and they are inside of a people. So like
Right.
what are we doing? So anyways, we'll have conversations
Killing
about that.
people, killing things.
Killing people, killing things, hunting things and people, killing people. Anyway,
Occasionally saving people, but
oh my God.
not very often.
Okay, let's go ahead and rate home. So
Okay.
let's start with our adjectives.
Once again, I said adorable. I did not notice egregious things, but there was also nothing really special about anything.
Yeah, I was in between horrendous and adorable
Yeah.
because he did good and then he did awful ugly shirt. So I'm just gonna lean
It
into adorable.
balances out, maybe.
It balances out. So our Sam Girl friendly scale, screen time, enjoyment, heart eyes. Screen time for you, what did you give it, Elle?
So it was meaningful screen time. It was our first Sam vision that we get to experience,
Yes. Like
right?
in real time, yeah.
In real time, in real time. Um, and the only thing that might be considered to be taken out of action would be the lamp cord, but I love that scene for other reasons. So, um, so I'm gonna give it like a 4-7.
Okay. I gave it 4.8. I thought it was, like you said, meaningful screen time. It was a Sam-centric like story. I loved that when Mary came out, she was very deliberate to talk
Oh,
directly to Sam. I thought that was really important because they don't have time together ever. And so she didn't
yes.
really parse words. She didn't waste time. She was like, I'm so sorry.
You just reminded me of a point that I wanted to make, which was in this episode, people keep saying sorry to Sam, and he keeps saying, for what? And I wrote, I'm salad.
I am sorry. That is a classic
Oh,
Sam girl chat
oh,
typo at one point. I always said something. Was it me? I don't even
I
remember
think it
which
was
one of us.
you. I'm pretty
One of
sure it
us
was you.
said, I am sad, but it autocorrected to
To
salad. So then we
salad.
just started sending each other pictures of salads that looked like they had a sad face every time there is a
Or
sad
like
thing
just
happen.
pictures of salads when we're like live watching the
We like
episodes
live blogging
and
and
something
something
sad
sad
happened.
happens. We just
Just
post a
pictures of
salad.
salad.
God, the internet is
Anyway,
amazing.
the
Anyways,
internet
yes,
is so weird. But anyway, that was a point that I had wanted to make. So yeah.
totally salad.
Oh, I should give it a point. I should No, I'll stick at 4-7. Otherwise, we'll
Okay.
have the same score again.
What about Sam Girl Joy?
Okay. Take your brother outside as fast as you can because I just love that. People apologizing to Sam.
Love that.
I didn't mention this when we were talking about it, but his just like unholy panic at the idea that they might not be able to save this family. That
Yes.
like there's a point where he's like he's got his hands together like and they're over the car and he's like shaking.
Yes.
Like his just this urgency and like drive to get Dean to believe him and of course then he
Yes.
does what he has to even though that was a secret he wanted to keep to himself as we learned in the mirror episode. um that gave me lots of joy.
Yeah.
So
I feel
I
like he got an opportunity where it was like, I can right the wrong that I made with Jess. Like, I can have this
yes,
and I can do something about it this time. So it
yes,
was
yes,
desperate to do
because
that.
this is his only his second vision ever, right? We don't
That
find
we
out that
know
he
of.
had
Yeah.
we don't find out that he had other visions between Jess and this woman, right?
I don't think
I
so.
don't
Yeah.
think we do. So yeah, he wants to save this one. So
Mhm.
joy for me is going to be pretty high. I'm going to do like a 4-8.
Yeah.
Is that what you did?
Yep. We just have
Um,
the same our mind. So
we're
what?
laundry.
If y'all don't know us well enough yet, her name is Elle. My name is Audrey. So that's what that is. Laudry. Anyways,
Yeah.
there's a reason we do these episodes together. We're really good at it together. Okay. So I gave it 4.8 as well on the enjoyment scale. Heart eyes, what do you think?
On the lamp cord scene alone, I should not be objectifying this boy, but but that and the when he I don't know why this gets me, but
Mm.
the his face when he realizes he's not getting out of the house, but the kids still can.
Yes. Oh, he's always
That
running at death.
that got me. So
Sorry.
I'm gonna give it like a 4.6.
Okay. I gave it a 4.5. So we literally ended up with the same average. This one is rated for both of us a 4.7.
There we
Good
go.
one. This is a good
Oh gosh.
episode.
I love this episode. This
Me
episode is so
too.
good.
Elle,
Oh,
once again, thank you for coming on and talking for like hours and hours about
thank you.
Supernatural.
Thank you for enduring me. I appreciate
I
it.
love it. Well, you'll be on again and again. So
Woo! I'm
until
ready.
next time. Bye.
Alrighty. Bye.